Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and happy Monday to everyone. That is so different. I am used to saying Wednesday, but I'm very excited to be here sharing the first video in our new series, Making Memories Monday. And I'm really eager to work in my books, and I think it will be fun to take you guys along with me. So for today's video, I just want to do a real quick overview of how this series is going to look. And so I also wanted to share in full disclosure that I am not a scrapbooker, I am a card maker. So my book is probably going to look a lot like cards with pictures stuck on them, and I'm okay with that. That's just my style. I'm not doing a daily album, mostly because many of my days look so much alike. We are empty nesters and we live out in the country, and so we don't have little kids and trick-or-treating, and a lot of my layouts are going to be October themed rather than Halloween, and so this is just going to be the stories of October. I'm not going to add journaling directly to the pages, because I do not enjoy creative writing at all, and I have the penmanship of a small child. So how I'm going to document the memories is to number my stories on my layouts, and then when I get all my layouts done, I'll get on the computer and create a printout that can describe all of the details, and then I'll tuck it into a folder, and I'm going to plan to include that in this setup. So I'm hoping to use primarily supplies from my own stash, which means that a lot of the product I'll use won't be current. But if I do use something that's available and I can find it, I will link it in the description below. But since I'm working mostly from my stash, I envision this series being more of a craft with me rather than a tutorial style like we do on Wednesdays. Now, before I get started on the layouts, I did also want to share the actual book with you that I'm working in. I found the inspiration for this journal style book from Amber over at Lyric Lover Craft. She has a full tutorial on this base along with links to the cover and measurements for the insert. So I recommend you go check out that video and get all the details for that. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying this format over the slimline TNs that I have been working with in the past. And so I'm excited to have these shorter, wider pages. So I've already added the pattern paper to the cover, and I strung it to hold 4 inserts. And then one of those is going to be a pocket. I'm hoping to be able to incorporate this greeting card and then just put pockets on the inside. This is just one that I had created when I was using my alcohol markers, and so I wanted to include that. Now, I don't have a lot of details on the cover, just something very minimal, and maybe I will add more as I go along, but for now, I just plan to keep it pretty simple. And then I will come back in and add my string or the elastic to wrap around to keep all of these pages together. So like I mentioned, Amber does have all of the measurements you need if you want to create these type of inserts. I have my outer layer is just a piece of pattern paper, and then the inside I have paper for the printer, and that's just because it's much thinner and I can, add all my layouts to it without adding too much bulk. So this book probably will be chunky, but I think it will be manageable with the thinner paper as the base. And so I did use a long arm stapler to get these connected, but if you don't have one of those, you could stitch this just as easily. And because I don't have details on the cover, I just made this little like dashboard style out of vellum, and I made a little printable so that I could put the date on here and a couple of extra details. That will just go around my first insert, and then I can tuck it into the elastic when I include it in the book. So I think that is all of the details we need to get started. And for today, I'm only going to create 3 of the layouts because we did have a little bit of time covering how the series is going to go. From here on out though, I will be doing 4 layouts per video, and that way we can get caught up in time, hopefully, to start a December album. So that's all for the intro. Let's get started. For this layout, I'm choosing a very low contrasting, very light peach pattern with that all over dot. And I'm using my photos printed from the Canon selfie printer. I thought it would be nice to go ahead and utilize the border that was already on there so that I could use less layers of paper to get that matted in. So I'm using a assortment of some stickers from the collections that I have had to work with over the years, and there's lots of images and word strips, so I'm utilizing those as layering elements. Now, the inspiration for this particular layout was one of the cards that I made during our 13 Days of Halloween series. If you saw that, you would remember that this was originally a easel card, and I used this very beautiful bronze colored glitter paper to cut chunky letters with a die that I picked up from Whimsy Stamps, and I really liked that big impact of the larger sentiment. Now I did put a layer of a solid background so that my letters would show more easily and be easier to read. For the hello part on this one, I chose to swap out that kind of boxy letter die for something scripty. I think it's kind of fun to work in different fonts in, so I'm putting this number on, and it is a numbered die that I cut into a piece of scrap cardstock cut into a banner shape and added a star on that for extra detail. Now that pumpkin is the outside in from Lawn Fawn, and then the leaves are from Lawn Fawn as well. So I'm just layering that up, very similar to the card, and that is my layout for my pumpkins. Before I add my next pattern, I did include a die cut tab. I want all of those fun kind of shapes poking out from the side. Now I've got a journal image here from a previous collection, and I'm going to mat it with a frame that's kind of a banner shape. So I'm working now with the P13 Happy Halloween collection. I love that lighter color background, and I'm also utilizing many of the cut up parts that they have on the sheets. I cut those with a border of white going all the way around so that they would look more like a purchased ephemera. See this piece now? I'm using the portion that was cut out of the frame as an anchor for my picture, and this is the first time I saw the Dollar Tree had their Halloween supplies out. And so I made sure to document that. Here's a sticker from a different collection, but I thought that orange was a great addition. And so the number for this layout, I wanted it to look like a mailing tag, but I wanted less bulk. So I just used some circle dies and a number and layered those up to create that impression. And I'm going to finish off this layout with some thickers with the DT. So that is layout for story number 2. Now I'm going to continue on. So this layout is going to have a herringbone kind of pattern, and this is going to be a little bit wider than what would work well for this without it getting in the way of it folding correctly. So I just bent it back on itself and clipped off the excess, and that worked perfectly so that everything would fold correctly. I put a layering pattern on there, just a little bit of a light green, and now I've got a border or a frame of that fun one polka dot, and it's topped with a journal image cut apart. So I used the same paper to create a large banner just by piecing them together, and I topped it with a doily to neutralize a little bit of that background. So there's my picture of Tinker. That's our goodest boy. He is almost 15 years old now, and he just loves to curl up in a chair with those baby Yodas. That large one was a gift from my daughter-in-law and her sister. They surprised me with that at Build-A-Bear. They created that for me, and Tinker seems to think that is his baby. So here's the number for that day. I just use that same number die cut, and I cut out directly from that label shape and backed it with a coppery colored metallic cardstock. I popped that up on a spacer, and then rather than using the word on there that was scary, because I think that Tinker is the last thing from scary. He is kind of a grumpy old man in his old age, but he is still the goodest boy. So I switched that for a word sticker from a different collection. It says Fabulous. And now I'm just arranging these thickers to spell out his name. I love that it is a low contrast for that page, and I'll just kind of fuss with those for a little bit till I get them lined up where I want. And I think that is going to complete our first 3 pages, 3 stories in our document October. And so I think that this was a really fun way to share the process, how I'm finishing my album. And so if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave me a comment and a big thumbs up. And if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. I'm just putting my insert back into the journal there so that I can keep all my layouts inside. And you can see the tabs showing from the side. I think those are going to be really fun when they build up. And look in the description for links to all our socials. And as always, I thank you so much for watching. Bye.